Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to cover Captain Marvel's new uniform and give you a direct damage comparison between her old uniform, which I did in a video a few days ago, with her new one. Because if you recall from that video, and if you haven't seen it, you should check it out. I did clear, or I did most of a clear of Thanos World Boss Ultimate Stage 3 using double supports and using her Miss Marvel uniform. And so I wanted to compare it to her new uniform with her completely redesigned kit, which favors offense over defense and survivability, and show you guys the pros and cons of both. Because from this uniform to this one, we know that we lost that juicy 6 seconds of immunity, which she could basically keep up all the time thanks to binary or radiant form and her old binary kind of burst skill, compared to her new form that favors damage with iframes for photon cannon, photon combo, and radiant form. So the build otherwise is pretty much the same. I didn't upgrade it all the way to legendary because it has a higher bonus. It's 19% versus the old one, which is only 18%. We do lose a few additional stats here, but it's okay because you can make it up in other ways. Otherwise, I'm pretty much maxed out on all of the same skills in terms, or stats in terms of ignore defense and skill cooldown. The crit rate and the crit damage are also the same. The CTP is the same, and I did one of the only changes I made was that I bumped up the overdrive bonus from, I believe, a stage 7 or a stage 8 up to a stage 10. It's not going to have a crazy impact on her overall output. It's basically going to come mostly from the uniform bonuses and the changes. The only other change I made was that I swapped over her 4th gear from crit rate back to ignore defense, because she doesn't have any ignore defense native on her gear, and she needed the extra ignore defense because I don't have the upgrade from her uniform just yet. So the first test we're going to make is against the Thanos World Boss Ultimate. We're going to go down to stage 3, which was the stage that we tested, and we're going to test her with both Ebony and Ghost Panther, which is who I tested with the first time around. And you'll see from the damage that it is very much, in terms of the damage, it's very much a Winter Soldier type improvement, because prior to Winter Soldier's uniform, prior to Infinity War, he could barely clear any content, and that's kind of what we expected and kind of what we saw from Captain Marvel. The defense was there, but the offense wasn't. And of course, this time around, you're seeing when you cancel 5 into 4, he immediately goes into his next phase because the damage is just gargantuan. And when you time that with your damage proc, and when you get an extra damage proc buff from your tier 2 passive, which increases the 180 proc up to over 200%, you get a huge bump in damage. What you will notice, however, is that she's actually taking damage for once. And she's taking damage because she doesn't have immunity anymore. All she has is a guard hit, and the guard hit can be penetrated. The guard hit can be taken away because it's only a 10 guard hit or a 12 guard hit. And so because of that, she will actually take damage. So that's probably something you're not used to seeing from Captain Marvel, actually taking damage. But another thing you're also not used to seeing from Captain Marvel is dishing out the damage. And I know this is a very low stage to compare, and actually there's some lag on my end because she's clearing it so quickly. We're less than a minute in, and we're already into the second half of the fight. So there's definitely a lot of punch that she has with this new uniform. Now her damage does go down kind of semi-visibly when you don't have her radiant form activated, but she still has enough juice, at least right now, to clear this stage. And I don't know why those meteors have turned white for some reason, but they're white now, to clear this stage quite easily. And you can see, we're a minute and 20 seconds in, and we're almost basically where we were. So she's improved. It looks like her damage is improved by at least, I don't know, 300, 400%, because instead of clearing it with 50 seconds left, we've got 3 minutes and change, which is almost, quadruple the time that we had before. However, I want to now show you a different stage of World Boss Ultimate against a different boss, and I want to illustrate some of the problems with this new uniform, because it's not perfect and it's not entirely foolproof. I think there are some possibly intentional flaws. So we're going to do a slightly different team here. We're going to bring in Ancient One for the heal, as well as the 25% ignore dodge on her tier 2 passive to give Captain Marvel a 60% ignore dodge, with her 35% coming from her CTP of energy. So with that 60%, I only need 2 more strikers, and these are very weak strikers, to get, actually I can go even weaker than that, to get to 100% ignore dodge. All we want is the 100% ignore dodge, so that we're not taking any, or we're not penalizing ourselves against against Corvus, so that we can see her damage. But the damage is not what's important here. What's important here is what the playstyle ends up looking like, because you can't just sit there and face tank with your immunity. Now we're actually going to try to proc on her 3rd skill, because I got penetrated, or I got stunned. Her 3rd skill actually has very good damage in addition to her 4th skill, and her 3rd skill, although it apparently has gaps in the iframe as well, her 3rd skill does good damage, and it has a longer iframe, so it actually protects her for longer. And what's weird about this uniform is, while the damage is insane, you now have to pay very close attention to how you're playing with Captain Marvel. It's completely night and day. The character between the Miss Marvel uniform and this uniform is totally different. You cannot play the 2 characters in the same style, because you will die, and you will be shocked at how quickly she takes damage. I just got bled, which actually means I'm going to take a bunch of damage. And if I'm not careful here, if I don't pay attention, she is going to die. So we're actually going to try to get another proc on her 3rd skill, but we actually may need to end up switching, because another problem that happens is at the beginning of both her 3rd skill and her 4th skill, there's a small window of opportunity for her to actually take damage. And so, yeah, it actually just happened. So she actually takes damage. Corvus starts one of his attacks, and in between, she gets hit. And so what ends up happening is you get chipped away, even if you're just canceling iframes 3 into 4, 3 into 4, 4 into 3, 3 into 4. And so, yeah, it's actually a problem for the character. It's not something that, I mean, of course, she'll take less damage when she gets to level 70 and she has gear 25 and she has certain gears maxed out. And possibly with a different setup, she would have, I just got stunned there because she doesn't have any immunity or any invincibility. But possibly with a different setup, she will have, I'm dead. Switch, and I just died. That's great. Possibly with a uniform, she will have, or not with uniform, sorry, with a different build, she will have, more luck. But this is definitely something that I can see becoming a problem for the character overall. She seems to be much softer now, because she literally has no way of protecting herself other than a 10 guard hit that lasts for 13 seconds on a skill that has a 17-second cooldown. So you're not even getting the guard hit for the full amount of the skill's duration. And while it's really nice to get 10 guard hit for 13 seconds, there are plenty of skills that go through that. There are effects that go through the guard hit. And you can't really, it's very difficult to time. See, I just got stunned there. It's very difficult to time iframes, especially and iframes on skills that have cooldowns of 5 seconds, 6, 7 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, with a skill that's on a 17-second cooldown or a 16.5-second cooldown, which is what her 5th skill is. So she is a bit harder to play because of that. And you can see the bleed goes right through the guard hit, so it doesn't really matter that she has that guard hit up. And while the damage is great, I mean, this is a stage 30 clear with basically no strikers, and she doesn't have mind control to help her out. She's getting hit a lot, and when she gets hit, it hurts. It hurts a lot. And it's kind of like you dish the pain, you dish it, and you get it back in return. And so I don't know how to keep her alive. I have to switch. I literally have to use, I just got guard broken. I literally have to use Ancient One's heal. I have to pay very close attention. I have to sometimes cancel skills that I don't want to cancel, even though I want to see what the damage output is, because I can't risk getting hurt. In addition to the gaps that she has on her skills that can just trigger from that can get hit by color. See, like sometimes at the end of the skill, she also takes damage, or she gets stunned by the meteors, or not the meteors, rather the tornadoes. And so you're also being punished by the world boss ultimate environmental effects. And so it's hard. It's actually hard to play as Captain Marvel. And while the damage is spectacular, the survivability, I'm dead. I'm actually gonna die. Straight up. Yep, I just died again. I couldn't switch in time because I got snared. So yeah, this does get pretty frustrating, and you do have to, I mean, with practice I will get better at this, but what I've noticed is that both her 4th skill and her 3rd skill have gaps in the iframe at the beginning and at the end. So even if you're chaining those two skills back to back, there's always going to be a gap as you start the skill. As she begins her flight, there's a gap. I don't know if that gap goes away entirely when she buffs with Radiant Form. It doesn't seem to, but this appears to be the reason why you're probably dying if you're playing as Captain Marvel. And even though she's got all of these extra buffs, it's just not enough. Now, level 70 might fix this problem. It might not. I also suspect that the new CTP of regeneration may play some part in the design of the character. They may have designed her in mind to synergize well with that specific obelisk, that specific CTP. I don't know. I really want to just use a CTP of energy on her and smash face, but if she's only really usable for ABX because of the fact that she basically can't get hit, because ABX is one of the weird game modes where you can build characters to really be glass cannons, and you can really just go all offense because the Frost Beast does such little damage. There's basically only one skill where he does a lot of damage with the roar, and you can pretty easily time your attacks to dodge the roar, especially if you have long iframes, the way that Captain Marvel does on 3 and 4. But yeah, we kind of expected her to be a world boss killer as well, and again, she can still be a world boss killer. I'm not ruling that out, but it will be very hard. It won't be easy to get those world boss kills with her because she has no way of protecting herself. She has no invincibility, she has no immunity, and even her tier 3 skill, it gives her 3 seconds. Actually, no, it doesn't give her any immunity or invincibility. The buffs that it gives are offensive and they last for 5 seconds or 3 seconds. So she doesn't even have, she has literally 0 defensive buffs outside of the Radiant Form's 10-hit guard. And I mean, I don't want to sound like a jerk for complaining about a 10-hit guard, but I would much rather 4 or 5 seconds of immunity on 4 or 3. And I know that might sound like the skill is busted and that might make her too strong, but I do think it's a problem when you introduce a character or when you rework a character by taking away their signature ability, which is basically the 6 seconds of immunity, and you don't replace it with a full iframe. Her 4th skill has gaps in the iframe, and so does her 3rd skill. So you can't even, if you could chain 4 and 3, yeah, it would be super annoying for PvP, but at least it would work out and it would simulate immunity for PvE, where you can just spam iframes and you can kind of force the boss to stand there and look at you while you're iframing. But because of the gaps, you can see I'm getting interrupted by tornadoes, I'm getting snared. In between skills, I get bled by Corvus's glaive, by his halberd hitting me, and I'm taking, 3,000-4,000 damage per bleed for 5 seconds. And she can do nothing about it. She has no heal, she has no debuff purge. And so yeah, the damage is outstanding. I have to say the damage is very, very good for a level 60 character to mop up. I mean, she can probably beat stage 30 Corvus if I play perfectly and I never get hit. She can probably clear it with maybe 2 minutes to go, which is very impressive for stage 30 for a level 60 character with room to grow. I can get this uniform mythic. I can build this up to stage 12 overdrive. I can build her Uru more. But the survivability with over 20,000 HP and the 40% all defense, 42% all defense, she's getting mopped. You're getting 1 and 2 shotted, and then the worst part being getting your iframes interrupted. So yeah, I'm a little bit confused. Not confused. I'm a little bit. I'm on the fence right now. The uniform is definitely something that you want to purchase for how good it makes the character offensively, but we may need to reevaluate the character's position, and she may just be a replacement for Thor and ABX with some PvP potential to one-shot enemies with her iframe ignore 4th skill. It's going to be very hard to kill her without getting killed first by her 4th skill once she gets going after the initial cooldown, because of the fact that it ignores iframes, and she can just chain that one into Ace Bomber, which is a long iframe, kind of like Blue Marvel's 2nd skill iframe. But on the other hand, with basically 0 defense, I don't really know where to position this character in terms of other PvE content. So let me know what you guys think of Captain Marvel. Let me know if there's anything additional that I've missed about the character. Again, we're still in the early stages, so please don't take my initial reaction to her lack of defense as kind of, the final verdict on the character. These are just my opinions after a few hours of kind of intense play through with the character. I haven't finalized rotations. I haven't finalized my opinion on the character long term, but I am starting to see some patterns emerge, both positive and negative, that I want the community to know ASAP so that you guys can adjust your builds, test new things, and form a more concrete opinion about the character. So let me know what you guys think. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me, and of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.